we're always told to manage risk, right? Measure it, control it, build these huge walls against it. But what if that's completely the wrong way to think about it? In this explainer, we're going to dig into a really dangerous paradox, how our obsession with making finance safe might actually be setting the stage for the next massive failure. It really all starts with this one simple, almost kind of scary question. What if the very tools we've built to protect ourselves, all the complex models, the algorithms, this whole architecture of financial safety, are actually making the system more dangerous? It's a wild thought, and it's right at the heart of modern finance. You see, for decades, the main goal has been super simple: low volatility. Everyone wants those smooth, steady, predictable returns. But this constant search for calm waters, well, it has a really dark side. By stamping out all the small, healthy tremors in the system, we end up creating this hidden fragility. It's a system that looks stable on the surface, but is secretly getting more and more brittle, just waiting to shatter at the first real shock. That, right there, is the volatility paradox. So how in the world did we get to such a dangerous spot? Well, it all started when we made a classic mistake. We mistook a symptom for the disease itself. Mainstream finance, in its love for elegant, clean equations, made a fateful choice. It decided to define risk as volatility, the daily ups and downs of the market. And sure, it was easy to measure, easy to plug into a model, but it was also a massive and dangerous intellectual shortcut. But what if that entire definition is just wrong? Thinkers like Warren Buffett have a totally different take on it. He'd argue that risk has almost nothing to do with those day-to-day price swings. No, true risk, that's the real potential for a permanent loss of capital. A stock dropping 20% and then bouncing back? That's not really risk. Your entire investment vanishing forever? Now that is risk. And Howard Marks hammers this point home too. He says volatility is just market noise, a symptom. The real disease, the actual risk that you should care about, is the simple probability of losing your money for good. This just completely changes the conversation, right? It moves us away from elegant math and brings us back to the brutal reality of what can happen to your money. Okay, so if risk isn't just market jitters, then what is it really? To get to the answer, we have to look way beyond the charts and actually start thinking about the limits of what we can even know. This is such a crucial difference, first pointed out by the economist Frank Knight. Risk, he said, is like a casino game. We know the odds. We can calculate the probability of rolling a 7 with 2 dice. But uncertainty? Well, that's totally different. That's when the map is blank. The odds are unknowable. The future is a total fog. And that is where the real danger lives. So let's break this down. You can think about the future in about 3 layers. First, you've got your known knowns. This is where we can use our fancy quantitative models. Then, you've got the known unknowns. Like, we know a geopolitical crisis could happen, we just don't know when or how. We try to handle these with scenario planning. But the deepest, most dangerous layer, that's the unknown unknowns, the black swans, the stuff we can't even imagine. And against those, your models are totally useless. The only thing you've got is resilience. Now, this whole distinction between measurable risk and true uncertainty, it's not just some academic theory. It has explosive, real-world consequences, especially when the smartest people in the room forget which world they're actually living in. And that brings us to the classic cautionary tale of long-term capital management. Back in the 90s, this was a hedge fund run by actual Nobel laureates and legendary traders. I mean, these were the smartest guys in the room. They built what they thought was a perfect risk-killing machine, all based on these incredibly sophisticated models. They truly believed they had conquered risk. And here's where their confidence just went off the charts. Their own models, the ones built by Nobel Prize winners, calculated that the kind of losses they eventually suffered were a statistical impossibility. I'm talking an event that shouldn't happen even once in the entire lifespan of the universe. And yet, it happened in 1998. The real question isn't just what went wrong, but why their brilliant view of the world failed so spectacularly. So their model completely broke because it was built on 4 really fatal assumptions. First, historical myopia. They used just 5 years of pretty calm data to try and predict a chaotic future. That's crazy. Second, they totally ignored tail risk. They were obsessed with the 99% of probable outcomes, but were completely blind to the 1% that could wipe them out. Third, they just assumed markets were neat and orderly, when in reality, they're messy and driven by human fear and greed. And finally, the big one, homogeneous thinking. Everyone, including the banks that were supposed to be their safety net, was using the exact same flawed logic. It was a systemic time bomb.
The collapse of LTCM was so much more than just a financial failure. It was an intellectual one. It was this brutal lesson that even the most elegant mathematics can create a dangerous illusion of certainty, especially when it comes face to face with the messy, unpredictable reality of the world.
So what's the antidote to all of this? Is it a better algorithm, a smarter model? Nope. It's a philosophical principle, the margin of safety. You can think of it as a buffer against your own ignorance, against your own errors, and against all the unknowns the world is going to throw at you. It's the simple but powerful idea of building in enough wiggle room to survive being wrong. This really calls for a fundamental shift in our mindset. We have to let go of this fragile goal of optimization, of trying to build the perfect system for a single, predicted future, and instead embrace resilience. That means building systems that can absorb shocks from any direction. We have to stop trying so hard to predict the future and start preparing for the absolute certainty that our predictions are eventually going to be wrong. This isn't just a financial strategy, It's a survivor's creed. It's about being humble enough to accept the limits of what we know, and then building our plans around that acceptance, not in defiance of it. It's really about making sure you can stay in the game long after all the optimizers and the predictors have been totally wiped out. And so, we're left with this final, really powerful thought. We spend so much time celebrating people who are right, the brilliant forecasters, the market gurus. But in a world where the map will always have blank spots, maybe the ultimate sign of intelligence isn't being right. Maybe it's just having the humility to prepare for being wrong and the foresight to build something strong enough to survive the storm that you never saw coming.